Hey, Happy New Year. It's 2019. So, I want to do a rational of the year. I was going to do this earlier, or later when I got back, but it's so nice out now. Look at this. Look at that sun. So, if you can't see me, I'm sorry, but the sun's too nice. But it's still cold today. Not as cold as yesterday, but it's, it's windy right now. So, I'm going to try to rush through some of this because I have a lot to say about 2018. But I want to first wish everybody a Happy New Year and mention that I have now hit 100,000 subscribers with all your help. So I've been able to get to this point thanks to my viewers, thanks to my supporters, thanks to my patrons, my followers. You are all awesome. And once again, thank you so much for an amazing year. But now let's get to the rational of the year 2018. So I have a lot to go through here. I want to do some honorable mentions, and then I have a top three for 2018 that hopefully I think people understand, because I think the rational of the year was kind of obvious for progressives, but it's everything else that leads up to it that is also worth mentioning as well. So let's get it started. Honorable mentions for 2018. First up, Larry Krasner. So Larry Krasner, I believe, actually won his election in 2017, but it was 2018 when he actually began to get real shit done. So he's done a number of things in Philly. He's Philly's DA, really the first progressive DA of a major city, at least that I know of, that's had a serious impact in just the year that he's been active there as the DA. So just a few things that he's done. These are more recent, but he has done a lot for Philadelphia. He's stopped prosecuting marijuana possession. He has stopped seeking bail on low-level charges, and he must personally sign off on any deal offered that exceeds 15 to 30 years. So he is instituting a very progressive agenda as Philly's district attorney, so he deserves a serious honorable mention. Next up for honorable mentions, Bernie Sanders. So Bernie is going to make this list every year because he's always doing something every year. This year, the thing I want to mention that he started to do is town halls. Town halls separate from mainstream press. So he did a town hall on climate change, one on Medicare for all, and I believe there was another town hall as well. All of these live streamed through the Young Turks, through other websites, other progressive channels, that has allowed him to really get this message, a progressive message, out there without actually needing mainstream press. So I think Bernie Sanders deserves a serious honorable mention for showing that format, an online town hall format, can and does work to spread a great message. Next up on honorable mentions, Christine Blasey Ford. So this one's obvious. I think she had the courage to tell her story about Brett Kavanaugh, and that deserves a serious honorable mention to really go from somebody who was not known at all and to put yourself out there, risk your life in many ways, as she still receives death threats for her telling her story about Brett Kavanaugh. So the courage it took to do that, and to become a public figure when she really didn't clearly want to be, but she knew she had to do that to do the right thing and really give the reality on who Brett Kavanaugh is. And unfortunately, it didn't affect his ability to actually get on the Supreme Court, but it was important that she did that, and I think it allows others to feel the courage to be able to tell their own stories as well. All right. There are birds going off right now. Okay, so top three now. So top three rational of the year 2018. So I'm going to go in reverse order here. So number three is Justice Democrats. I think this, again, if you paid attention, is self-explanatory. Justice Democrats have really pushed the idea of what is possible in terms of a discussion in mainstream press on progressive ideas. So because of the candidates that they pushed out there is now a real discussion around left-wing ideas. It's no longer considered to be, some sort of some sliver of people in the country believe in these ideas. No. They have shown through their support of these strong candidates that there is a real push out there, a real desire out there for a real progressive policy. So Justice Democrats deserve a huge mention here for number three of rational of the year. Number two, this one is happened earlier in the year, though it's had an extended life thanks to how strong these teens are, and that's March for Our Lives. So the March for Our Lives teens that showed a tragedy can happen and you can turn it into something good. And this is from a generation that, most kids coming up, we don't really expect much of them in terms of politics. So a lot of them don't vote. A lot of them are not active, and it's obvious because they aren't out living their own lives yet. So they're still learning about how society functions. But these March for Our Lives kids really show that you can take something seriously tragic that happened to you and turn it into this massive movement of activists pushing for real gun reform legislation, doing a lot more than really any adult in America has done on the NRA and on gun control. So huge shout out to the March for Our Lives kids for showing what's possible and showing the power that kids can have in the political arena. All right, number one, it's getting cold out here, so I gotta come in soon. Number one, Rational of the Year. I think this is obvious, but of course, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. So Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez defied all the odds. She defeated Joe Crowley, a Democratic leader in the House, to gain her seat. She did that taking no corporate PAC money, taking no big donor money, did that on small donor donations, and also on a huge volunteer base and word of mouth, and getting out there and knocking on doors and getting people active in her community to come out and understand what issues can be possible, or what issues we can push on if you have the right message, if you have the right person to deliver that message. So AOC really showed us that you can be young, you can be in your 20s, you can race against a powerful Democrat, and if you have a strong message and you have the volunteer base and you have some small donor support, you can actually win a race. So I think she really blew up the idea, especially in mainstream press, on what is possible. I think a lot of us felt that somebody was going to win. There's going to be a big Justice Democrat or a progressive that was going to win a race, and I'm glad it was AOC. Obviously, there were others as well. Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar and other progressives won races as well. But I think what AOC has is that mixture of a strong message, as well as the ability to deliver that message in a convincing way that is appealing to not just people like you and me who are into these issues, but also people who aren't necessarily into these issues. So seeing her on shows like The View and impressing the hosts on The View, who otherwise you would think are, neoliberals, impressing people like that and impressing their audience allows the progressive message to get out there. And also, big mention for her bringing up the Green New Deal and essentially popularizing the Green New Deal and making it an actual discussion piece. And her protesting in Nancy Pelosi's office, along with the Sunrise Movement. I mean, this is everything you want in a politician. She is an activist outside and now inside Washington. So Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the clear Rational of the Year for 2018. Now, some predictions. I didn't write anything down for this because I never thought I would do this, but it came to me now. Some predictions for 2019. I think it's going to be a big year for Jeremy Corbyn. I think it's time that he is going to, there's going to be an election called, I believe, and I think he will win that election and he will become the new Prime Minister of the UK. So that's my big prediction for 2019. There's also a Canadian election that is actually scheduled for 2019. I don't expect much to change. I think Trudeau will possibly maintain his majority, but I think he will at least win a minority government. I don't think Andrew Scheer and his Conservative Party, or especially Andrew Scheer, the Conservative leader in Canada, he is so unlikable. He has no charisma. He's boring. He's bland. He's trying to take some ideas from fascist movements around the world without actually straight up being as terrible as they are. But he's just the most boring guy. So I think Andrew Scheer really is. When the election gets rolling in the fall, he's going to just have no traction. Jagmeet Singh, the leader of the NDP, I hope has a little more traction, but it's super hard to predict because right now the NDP is down. I don't know how much ability for growth they have right now because I don't think there's a strong enough message in Canada, or we aren't feeling issues like wealth inequality quite as harshly as people in the States do. There isn't quite as much that divide between the rich and the poor here in Canada as there is in the US. But that said, we do have serious issues and we need to take a progressive approach to these issues. And a leader like Jagmeet Singh leading the country would be fantastic. But I don't think it's his time yet, but we're going to see. So there you go. Rational of the Year 2018, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And again, Happy New Year, and thanks for the 100,000 subs. All of you guys and girls and people are just fantastic to to be able to get me to this point and allow me to do what I love doing. I mean, I just can't thank you enough. So have a fantastic year, and you'll see more of me this week. All right, later.